Ah, buonasera e tanti auguri a tutti. Stasera guardiamo il Giuseppe Tempe Meteorologico Programme YouTube. And the Joe and Joe Weather Show is brought to you by Omni True Value Hardware, which in any language is the place to go if you got things to do as far as cleaning your outdoors of your home or your business to keep it safe during this winter season, especially when we get one of these icing events. So they've got everything you need. That's what it looks like on the outside on a nice day. And they've got snow blowers, they've got spreaders, they've got shovels, they have Pelado and Mag iced pellets and flakes, and tons of rock salt at the lowest prices anywhere in the New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, tri-state area. So get your truck over and load it up at Omni True Value Hardware, 1226 North Wellwood Avenue in West Babylon, New York on Long Island, north of the Sunrise Highway, south of the Long Island Expressway. 631-756-1125 is the telephone number. And we all know what the website is.
Omni. True value.
Stop.
.com.
It is. That it is. Well, thought I'd change it up a little
right
bit
at the
tonight.
moment that I open, right at the moment that I opened my mouth,
Not,
all of a sudden,
gook comes
something
out.
got caught in my mouth. Yes.
These things happen,
But anyway,
Joe.
Thank you, David Fuller, for kicking off our show with the first Super Chat of the night, and we appreciate it so very, very much.
And it's nice to see everybody behaving in the sandbox. You all know what I mean. Let's continue to behave in the sandbox. And yes, thank you, David Fuller, for hitting the Super Chat tip jar on this Monday. I'm feeling better because I actually got, even though I went to bed, Joe, at 1:30, because as I mentioned yesterday, I had this massive hacker attack coming from foreign entities. I don't know why they think I'm so important, but it's actually these bots that sort of seek you out, and they look where there's extra traffic, and with the blizzard and everything else last week, extra traffic to the websites, they kind of target you. So anyhow, after resolving a whole host of issues, I was down to the last two, which I spent all day yesterday and then all day today, and then this afternoon I fixed one. The one I did not fix is the one that's the more important one, and that is that for those of you who are on the free Meteorologist Joe Chaffee weather app, which you can download on Google Play or on the App Store, right now the home page and the video page is not working, so you can't watch the Joe and Joe show from your smartphone from the app right now. But all the other pages,
unthinkable.
It is. It's outrageous. But the other pages are working. The post page, I moved the snowfall forecast maps all on the New Jersey page, and severe weather is on one of the other pages. So just hit the drop down menu. The local radar works. Your local forecast works. Just hit the drop down menu, and that'll be fine. And my daily posts, you'll get a notification, and it'll take you right to the post page, and you'll see it there. So in the meantime, I am just I'm trying to solve this puzzle with all this code I have written down, and hopefully between them and the folks that the support people at the security software that I use will figure this out. So anyhow, that's my problem for today. Did you get any ice this morning or no?
Ice? What ice? We had snow this morning.
Snow. Very good. That's even better. Half a foot?
We had about a half an inch of snow. And believe it or not, now the next time we get Bill Goodman on, I've got to ask him, what specifically is the criteria for a winter weather advisory? This was so laughable, Joe. We had a half an inch of snow, one big half an inch, 12 millimeters of snow, and there was a winter weather advisory for Putnam, northern Westchester. I mean, the snow was pretty well gone off of my driveway by about 9 or 10 o'clock as the temperatures slowly but surely climbed above the freezing mark. But there were schools that actually had, early dismissals and in and around parts of the Hudson Valley. And I mean, I'm
see, that's
up where my daughter lives.
That's ridiculous.
My daughter lives up in My daughter lives in Ulster County. They had rapid dismissal. She said, "What's going on here?" I mean, the guy advisory. I said, "I don't
What
know
does rapid
why."
dismissal mean? What does that mean? Do they
Or an early
do they just
early
chuck them?
dismissal.
Do they just chuck them out the door? Pick them up and throw
Yeah,
them? I don't
yeah.
know. I mean, seriously.
But and I'm saying to myself, what is this? I thought all this time I was thinking that winter weather advisory meant, all right, 2 to 4 inches of snow. There was most definitely not a prediction for 2 to 4 inches. There's not even an inch out there today.
I think it was really. I think because they were forecasting uh, up to I don't know how many hundredths of ice. I think ice was the bigger issue because of the cold ground, and those advisories, they had it all the way up into South Jersey and Southeast PA, and I wasn't sure yesterday whether they were going to pull the trigger or not. I kind of thought they would, especially for inland spots, but uh, I, the it did lead me though to think about something here. Remember yesterday I went through that whole sequence of dates in January of every event that happened, right? And how there was a rhyme,
Right,
how
right.
there was a rhyme to it. Well, let's add two things. If you think back a couple of weeks ago, remember when we had that sort of light freezing rain event that coated some roadways, and there were something like 200 accidents in one particular spot. I think in Westchester County. That happened, I think, inside one of those quiet periods. And then another thing, as I recall, inside one of those quiet periods where we had these lows going off the southeast coast, was that one of them snuck up and brought rain back to the immediate coast and to southern New England and Long Island, like we have today. So there are a few more elements here that we can throw into this rhyme, and the reason why I bring it up is because uh, this coming weekend, in terms of what's going on in the upper air, they're in the long range anyway. And this was pure speculation. Obviously, the long range was trying to work out the next arrival of troughs. And if you took a look at this morning's European Joe in terms of the upper air, it was almost a repeat performance of what happened a couple of weeks ago. Now it stands alone. It stood alone, and then the European backed off, and it's got something more progressive as with does the GFS and the Canadian. But I said yesterday that with regards to this weekend, Tuesday, tomorrow, if it's there tomorrow, we'll have a conversation. And if it's not there tomorrow, it's probably likely that the weekend is not going to be a big deal of anything. So that I still stand by that. I'm going to wait till tomorrow to see what the guidance does, and then we'll kind of go from there. So that's
Well, for Su- Super Bowl Sunday, I've got sunny to partly cloudy, colder weather because I think, Joe, I think even in the lower Hudson Valley on Saturday, we could take a run at 50 degrees here, which would be lovely. It'd be the first time since
on
I think
Saturday
early
on
January that we've
Saturday.
had.
You're timing.
Yeah,
You're slowing down the arrival of the front that's supposed to come through on Saturday
actually,
or
there
Friday
was like a
night.
series. Yeah, but there's like a series of fronts that move on through,
Okay, I'm just
and but I don't really think that the colder air is going to arrive. I mean, I've got 50 for a high on Saturday. Saturday night I got it down to 27, 34 for Super Bowl Sunday, and by the time we get to Sunday night, it's well down in the teens. So I don't have the rush of colder air coming in. I have it gradually coming in, but I think that we have a shot of getting 2 or close to 50 on Saturday before all that cold air pours through our area. Meantime, it's today again. We had a little bit of snow this morning. Temperatures did warm this afternoon into the upper 30s here, and tomorrow I think we'll see temperatures, depending upon where you are in the lower Hudson Valley, ranging anywhere from mid 30s to maybe down by the Sound Shore or down by the Bronx border, maybe mid 40s.
all right, and it's probably going to be low and middle 40s from those points south into New Jersey and easternmost Pennsylvania, and maybe even and Long Island, extending up into southern New England. Meanwhile, while Joe Rayo, by the way, monitoring the chat board for your questions and comments, so by all means, please share. And I think that's really all I had to say. So I'll bring up the let's bring up the watches and warnings map, which is, oh my God, it's so exciting, isn't it? Except for New England and two counties in New York State, Dutchess and Ulster, where winter weather advisories continue, and then you've got Litchfield County in Connecticut. There's nothing going on. Okay, yeah, okay, we got a little bit of wind in the Dakotas. It's the plains. It gets windy there. Not exactly breaking news. We've got high wind warnings up in Montana in that beautiful gold, lame gold color, and also for a small portion of southeastern Wyoming. It does get windy up there in the east slopes of the Rockies. But the rest of the nation, this time last week, Joe, we had a Christmas tree of colors from Texas to New England and to the Great Lakes, with that stalled front and those series of waves that were moving along it. And uh, two major storms in less than a week's time last week, and then now we're in this kind of quiet period, which makes total sense when you think about it, because the atmosphere can only do so much with what it has, and at a certain point it has to relax, and the pattern relaxes, and then it tends to reload into something. Sometimes it's the same pattern, sometimes it's something different. We'll see about that when we look at the long range, but this is a week for a general relaxation of the primary pattern.
Indeed. And you know, Joe, that we always like West and we waxation at West.
Yes, we do. Yes, very,
Yes.
very good. Meanwhile, we do have a conveyor belt, because one of the places where there is also some activity, but there's nothing at the level of any kind of watches or warnings, is the fact that we do have some rain in the Gulf states, the coastal Gulf states to northern Florida, and we have this conveyor belt here of moisture moving from southwest to northeast, and some tropical moisture from the Pacific and from Mexico coming into the Gulf of Mexico and just shooting up. But if you look at the structure of all of this, the northern part right up here is where we have this developing low that's off the Delaware coast and is going to be riding out to the northeast, and it is clipping parts of eastern PA to southern New England with rain, although it's more than just clipping southern New England, southern New England, especially southeastern New England with rain, because the rain there will be probably at a level of about an inch or more. But there's no real rotation. There's a little low that this low might eventually become something a little stronger as it approaches Nova Scotia. But it's just another one of these series of sort of flat waves that are kind of moving right along. No real development that's going to come out of this, but it does at least it does at least prepare the pattern for whatever's going to happen beyond this work week, because there are going to be some changes. So we're going to watch. We always watch to see what's going on, and eventually, what'll probably happen is that one last low will come out of here, and I think it'll be over the weekend. And right now, if you looked at the upper flow, what the models were showing, it would show a developing storm off the southeast coast of the United States that passes well to the south and east, because we have a very active northern stream in the jet stream, and that is going to continue right through this week. The southern stream is so-so, and we'll see how all these little puzzle pieces shape up over the next couple of days.
And a lot of people have been talking on the chat board about a pattern change. And of course, don't forget that the Climate Prediction Center had targeted February here in the East as an above normal month in terms of temperature. We have yet to see any of that happen. And yesterday we were speculating, Joe, as to whether or not the storm that may or may not develop along the coast for later on this weekend might be the pattern changer and allow temperatures to climb. I should point out, though, that temperatures this week, as far as here in the Hudson Valley, the normal high temperature is, or the normal average temperature, the average temperature is around 40 degrees. So if we,
the average high temperature,
I should say
is
the
40.
normal, the average high temperature is
Right.
around 40 degrees, I should say. And we are, or at least I'm thinking the temperatures Wednesday and Thursday will be in the upper 40s. And as I said, Saturday may be close to 50. So maybe, just maybe, we're finally getting back on track. And getting into a milder weather regime, albeit maybe a week late, a week or 10 days late, according to the original predictions from the Climate Prediction Center.
I'm just going to say this. I'm going to say this in terms of the timing of everything that's going on. If it's going to be near 50 on Saturday or in the 50s, we might as well push the envelope here. If it's going to be in the 50s, it's because the front is going to take the let's call it the polar front, or that is going to take longer to get here. And the way it takes longer to get to the coast is if there's a sharper upper trough to the west. So that actually, if you're rooting for snow, you might want that to happen. Okay, if you're rooting for snow, because if the trough is sharper, then you have a shot at maybe bringing something up from the southwest. Now, on the other hand, if you believe that it's this progressive west to east pattern and that the trough is not going to sharpen but just sort of move right along, the front will probably come through late Friday night, in which case Saturday it won't get out of the 30s. So those are your two those are your two options from how I see it. But again, it's only Monday, and we've got ways to go before we get to the weekend. And the radar tonight will show that the paucity, one of those $5 Joe Rayo words, the paucity of of precipitation, which is how we say it down here in Pixley, precipitation. So there you have the radar tonight. I got to admit, the radar looks a lot busier than I ever thought it would be. I mean, we hardly even talked about this low coming up the coast late last week or this weekend. We kind of sort of looked at it and said it's going out. And look how far west it wound up. It brought rain. Even yesterday and last night, the back edge of the rain on the guidance was, although it is light rain, the back edge of the guidance was western New Jersey, right along the PA border, and it wound up quite a ways away further west. But again, that part of it is light. We've got some heavier downpours, though, in southern New Jersey right now and in coastal New Jersey. Also over eastern Long Island, getting some of those stronger echoes and into Rhode Island and on up into southeastern Massachusetts. In Connecticut, where there was some snow and ice, especially north of Route 84 from precipitation that moved through this morning, that's kind of leveled off and it's quieted for now. But you're seeing those echoes to the south moving northeast, so there'll be some more rain coming in during the overnight. This time around, it should be warm enough in most places for rain. And then further south in the Gulf states, some of the heavier activity that was south of the Florida Panhandle and off of the coast of southeast Louisiana is actually weakened. There's some heavier downpours in southeast Georgia and in southwest Georgia, and now we're getting some rain that's moving into inland North Carolina. South Carolina, and then eventually going to push into eastern North Carolina. And we've got really, that's all. I don't know if that's all fake stuff or what. Analogous propagation, Joe. What do you think? AP looks kind of weird, doesn't it? Yeah.
It does. It does.
Yeah, fake echoes. And nothing much else. The West is quiet. Yes, that's it. The West is quiet and dry. So let's move along, and let's do a little upper airing. Okay. How about we start with the European, Joe? You want to start with the European? Should we start with the European?
I always love starting with the European.
Okay. So let's go with the European. Let's go with the upper air, because I think this really sort of illustrates what we are talking about for down the road, and we'll let the maps load here. So this is I'm going to go to the overnight European run first, and then work my way to there's so many overruns. The European, remember you used to get like the 5 maps you got. Now of course we got the whole sequence every 3 hours. As far as,
right.
Which is cool. Because now at least we can match it up. It's easier to match it up and not have to go from one site to another site where they all have different styles in terms of the maps, and you're trying to figure out what's.
It's great because it's great because we on the European we used to jump 24 hours and we say, my God, 24 hours is so much that could change in 24 hours, and now you're right. Now we got it every 3 hours. We could look at
Right.
the progression and see
You'd,
how everything.
you'd see a 10-12 low in North Carolina, then you'd see a 975 low in the Gulf of Maine, and all you do is wonder, well, what in the name of God happened in between? So, and then you find out that nothing until it
Exactly.
got, then you find out nothing happened until it got southeast to Cape Cod. So anyway,
Right.
so here's the situation in a nutshell when we're looking at the flow, and you'll notice it's kind of busy here, but everything moving along from west to east. Here's our little trough. It's actually you can't. It's hard to find the upper feature with the system off the east coast because it's just there's like a little kink there in the ridge from southern New Jersey out into the ocean. That represents this surface low, and then the upper trough that's behind it comes through on tomorrow. And the bottom part of that trough sinks down into the Gulf of Mexico, keeping it active there. Then right behind it, you've got the next one, and this is a weak cold front that's going to come through, if you want to even call it a cold front, because the air behind it is not really that much cooler than the air ahead of it. This upper trough, it's kind of weird. It's like the north goes out, and then the part of the south gets left back in the Western Gulf, and then there's a stronger upper trough that drops down for Friday into Saturday, and this is the one that we'll have to keep our eyes on as it drops southward. And remember, from the blizzard, we had that long wave trough that went from Cuba all the way up to Labrador, and you kind of have the same thing here. The only difference is on the overnight run. Look at how the north and the south phased right there at 85. And then when you lift it up, it goes negative. This was Sunday night into Monday, and there's your upper low that forms east of east of the New Jersey coast and south of Long Island. Think back to what happened. This is really almost a carbon copy, Joe, of what happened back 10 days ago. We were watching something very, very similar. And then it it intensifies into a big storm, and it moves out in the Gulf of Maine and then heads on out to the northeast. Okay, well, that's the overnight run. Now, here's the problem with all of this, and this is what the other models are pointing out. And I'm not endorsing any model here before I get accused of hugging. I'm illustrating. I'm not taking sides yet, because remember, I said tomorrow's the day where I might start to become interested if we're seeing anything. So now let's switch to the 12Z run of the European. And here we have the European kind of looking like the other models with what's going on. And I think the big difference here, Joe, is the fact that this trough on Thursday, we'll give the maps a chance to load. For some reason, I only have the 81 and the 78 hour so far. It doesn't want, oh, here comes the 84. Well, anyway, uh, the issue is on Thursday, the northern part of that trough, when it goes into eastern Canada, it strengthens. And if it strengthens, then there's less room for the system behind it to do anything. And I think that's what the issue is here. We also have to pay attention to what's going on in the southern part of that trough, because that's important also. You're seeing the trough kind of get left back from West Texas down to Baja California in the south. So it's really this whole northern stream feature that's going to move in. Come on, just load already. Everybody's in. You know what? Everybody's on here waiting for the fast the European fast, as he calls it, is in, and they're all waiting for the next one with the 90 hours. So they're all in here. We're doing a show. You need to wait. So here we go on Saturday, and now the second trough is much more progressive. You see how more northeast southwest it is, and that's because what's going on in eastern Canada is leading to a far less dynamic resolution of this particular problem. Instead of having the whole thing lift up negative, look where the trough is. Virginia down into northern Florida. I mean, basically, this would all be just a low off the southeast coast that runs east and then goes goodbye. So those are the two main differences. Is it progressive, or are we going to have something that's going to sharpen up and lift up along the eastern seaboard in a similar fashion? Not saying exactly the same way, but in a similar fashion to what we saw back on January 28th, 29th. And this completes, by the way, the cycle of this pattern we've been talking about that's been going on since January 5th, because there's been a major storm at the end of each sequence, and this is the third one, and if this would be the third one, if this were to phase in the way that the Europeans suggested.
You realize, of course, that if this does transpire, there are going to be an awful lot of people on Sunday who will be going to their Super Bowl parties. They'll come through the door. They'll say, "Hi, everybody." Really, like, say, "Yeah, thank you." It's a where are the hors d'oeuvres? And oh, wait a minute, it's starting to snow. Bye, everybody.
Yes.
And you're out before the game even begins.
And by the way,
hear me.
I'm a big fan of hors d'oeuvres.
Or hors d'oeuvres.
Hors d'oeuvres, yes. Or actually,
Yes.
to be correct, there's hors d'oeuvres. I don't think there's an S. It's hors d'oeuvre, and it's understood to be plural.
Uh-huh.
Okay. So
Yes.
what was the word you used?
Hors d'oeuvres.
Hors d'oeuvres. So it'd be hors d'oeuvre. So you want to be classy. So I would say the hors d'oeuvres. The hors d'oeuvre.
That's yeah. Yeah, exactly. Because nobody ever pronounces the H.
That's right. Well, here's the GFS by the way.
But Ralph.
Go ahead.
But Ralph. But in the episode with the hey, this is dog food. He's explaining to his boss, Mr. Marshall, what Cranmar's delicious surprise would be good with, and he'd say they'd even be good with those hors d'oeuvres.
Yeah.
And Mr. Marshall says hors d'oeuvres. He said, "What? Hors d'oeuvres? They'd be good with those too."
Yes. Well,
all right, on to the GFS.
Yeah, GFS, very progressive here. And the trough doesn't dig down. It just moves along, because there's another one right behind it on the GFS to kick it along. So a lot of puzzle pieces here to figure out going forward. Honestly, we got one big storm in a wintertime. Usually that's about it. Granted that we've had more than a few years where we've had two, and even the occasional year where we've had three. But that's a once in a 20, 30 year of the type event, I guess. But let's take a look at the long range. I don't know, Joe. I keep looking at when I look at the long range 500s on the models. It's where's this trough in the west? Where is it? Okay, it's not there. It doesn't want to be there for some reason. The models keep doing it, and then something seems to come along to keep it from happening. I don't know. It's odd. Here we are on the 15th. We still have basically troughing in the east. You've got a low in northern Labrador that extends across southern Greenland, and that's kind of sitting there. Finally, it pulls out, and then what happens? Another one comes down. So now we're at the 17th, 18th, and 19th. Look at how deep this trough. This is the 18th of February, Joe. In a month that was predicted to be above normal, almost from coast to coast. How is this possible? How?
Where's the ridge?
Where is it?
The ridge. So the ridge. Well, the like a balloon with a hole in it. The ridge just cannot be pumped up.
Well, it is pumped up in the.
What else can I tell you?
It is pumped up in the Gulf of Alaska. But look at,
yeah,
I mean, this is, by the way, this is day 10, so it's not like it's day 16 here. But look at this. I mean, this is insane. The models keep showing the longer range, and they started doing it a week plus before the big storm, and we were supposed to be in a trough in the west, ridge in the east right now at the beginning of February. And that didn't happen, and we're already 7 days into the darn month, and then that lifts out, and what happens? Look at this. Now you tell me, where is that ridge where is the ridge in the east? Because I'm not seeing it. I mean, this is really,
I don't see it either.
This is really bizarre. Now I will say this. I think the answer, I think one of the answers. But an important part of the answer is the fact that it's been a good idea to watch the machinations of the les vortex polar, as I would call it from time to time, or the polar vortex. And if we watch what happens here, the polar vortex for this time of year is actually quite strong. This is usually a time where the polar vortex starts to weaken, but it has been exceptionally strong. But it's been, instead of being wrapped up like a tight little ball, it's been spread out over a much larger area of geography. And of course, if you take a look here at this is the 24 hour, and that's a cold flow. Flow's basically going Siberia over the Arctic Ocean, over north central Canada, into southeastern Canada, the Great Lakes, and into the northeast. Now this lifts out. The upper low kind of migrates to near the North Pole. Then it starts to drop back down near Greenland. And as we go through the rest of the forecast period, we're almost, by the time we get to 2 weeks from now, we're kind of back where we started from, where you've got this, the stratosphere. The cold flow is Siberia, Arctic Ocean, Canada, down into New England and the Northeast. So maybe Joe, the whole winter's really being dictated by this and nothing else.
It certainly got stretched out like silly putty, if you will. But excuse me, on that final view you have, at least the overall flow is coming through Canada and the Northwest Territories and down and across our area, which seems to ensure that it's going to stay, more often than not, it's going to be below normal as opposed to above normal.
Yeah, I mean, you got some. The only thing is, as far as as far as this is concerned, if it winds up being correct. By the way, I only have it out to now. I've got it out to 16 days. I mean, now the polar vortex is over Greenland with sort of a broad bowl trough in eastern Canada down into the northeast and northern mid-Atlantic states. So it looks even colder on this one. So I think one of the things that you got to remember when it comes to pattern change is that the pattern change you want and the pattern change you get may not necessarily be the same thing. And the one thing we could look at if we just want to get a takeaway from these maps in terms of this cold flow, I noticed that it was basically one cold front after another that comes through with cold highs, and then you warm up and rain ahead of the next cold front. So if this system for this weekend, which you see the GFS and of course the European Canadian all take out well underneath us based on the current guidance, we've got another cold front coming through on Tuesday with the cold high behind it. That goes out off the coast, southwest flow, cold front comes through, another shot of cold air. Then the next low goes, next front and low go to our west. It rains, cold front comes through. It gets very cold behind it. Now we're at February 21st, and maybe that's what it'll be, Joe. Yeah, it'll be cold when you average it all out. But as these weather systems move in and out, being that it's progressive at the bottom of the atmosphere, you're going to just have cold fronts coming through with warming up and raining ahead of it and then turning sharply colder behind it, only to warm up and rain ahead of the next one. So again, that's what this snapshot of the long range is telling us at this stage of the game.
And where's Frank Riccio located?
He's in Jersey.
He's in Jersey.
Yeah.
Because according to the chat board, Frank Riccio says, strange. The Weather Channel is showing above normal for the next 2 weeks in my area.
Well, I don't know what to say. I don't know. Honestly, that probably goes from whatever model run they're using at that particular time. If they use the next one, maybe they won't be as sure of that. Let's say. I can't look at weather. Joe, I tell you something. I get a little, I shouldn't say this, but I'm being honest, I do get a little bit annoyed when people make these sort of unequivocal statements about the long range and just say, oh, this is the long range, and then they talk about we're going to a ridge position. I saw people's forecasting saying we're going to have a record warm February back at the end of January. To me, I don't know how you can enjoy weather. If you're into weather, how can you enjoy it if you go looking to put stakes through the heart of stuff 3 or 4 weeks down the road. How do you? I don't know. I just can't look at it that way. I like to look at the I like to look at what's going on now and what's going on, what may happen in the next week or two. But I don't want to know about. I don't care about the month from now, 2 months from now, 5 months from now. To me, that's just meaningless. It just is mean. I don't know. I don't know. That's me. I don't know how you feel about it, but I just I couldn't enjoy. I couldn't enjoy what I'm doing if I sat here and just kept thinking about 3 months from now or 2 months from now.
Now let me ask you a question. You folks on the chat board can also post your own comments. I once gave a pitch at News 12 to my news director, Janine Rose, to do a package on that would run on New Year's Eve. And here is the basis of the package. If you had an infallible crystal ball, you were able to look into the crystal ball and you were able to see, again, this was an infallible crystal ball. Everything that you saw in that crystal ball was going to happen. If you had the ability to see what was going to happen in your life, or let's say in the time span of the country or the world over the next 365 days or over the upcoming year, would you want to take a look? Or would you say, no, I'd rather be surprised, or I'd rather just take it one day at a time? What would you do, Joe? Would you look at that crystal ball if you want to know what was going to happen to you over the span of the next year? Or
only if there was $1 million Powerball lottery and we were a week away. That's
okay. So you,
I really wouldn't.
So you
honestly, I really wouldn't want to know. What would be the point?
When I pitched that to my news director said, "Oh no, Joe, we can't do something like that, or we can't ask." I thought it was an intriguing question, but I guess she felt that nobody would really want to know what was going to. I mean, if you were going to die, let's say on June 13th, and here it is New Year's Eve, would you want to know that, or if a loved one was going to meet with some uncertain?
No,
I
wouldn't. No.
So yeah,
I wouldn't want to know.
All right, so.
But you know what I do want to know, Joe?
Yes.
I want to know who the recent Super Chat hitters are.
Well, we had Steve Lapointe, we had the chairman, we had Brendan Doherty, and we also had Jason Kaplan. They all hit Super Chats, and we're so very, very happy that they did.
Thank you,
Joe. If you allow me to share the screen, I've got something that will make a lot of the snow lovers, well, they'll probably yearn for something like what happened on this date 44 years ago.
Not that long ago?
And
whoa. Okay, so while this is setting up, let me just say really quick, for those of you who are new to the channel, welcome to my YouTube channel, Joe Chaffee, and welcome to the Joe and Joe Weather Show. We are on 5 days a week, usually from Sunday through Thursday, and then at 7:30. Except on Sundays, we usually come on at 11 o'clock in the morning. We have, I think, close to 80 likes exactly on the show tonight. Thank you for those of you who hit the like button. We'd love to get over 100. So if you like the show, hit the like button, and if you like what we do, subscribe to my YouTube channel by using your Gmail account and hitting the subscribe button, so you get notifications, and also you get posts that I put up there every day on my YouTube channel in the community section. So just want to check that out. This way we could kind of stay engaged through the whole day. There it is, the Lizard of 78.
Isn't that amazing? Blizzard Special. Long Island, hardest hit. I think parts of Long Island had what, 25, 28 inches out of this, Joe?
Yeah, 25 to 30 on the in eastern Suffolk. There might have been even some spots that got more.
Part of Rhode Island got 50 inches out of this. Yep. Incredible.
So
15-foot drifts.
Imagine if they had clown maps back then. Primitive clown maps.
Now I posted this on my Facebook page, pages actually. I got a couple of them, and got a very interesting remark. This was from, let me just get this here. A gentleman by the name of Stephen Heater, and he wrote, if this type of storm occurred today, the media and weather reporters would hype this baby up so bad that they would have everybody jumping off a cliff. He said, I mean today, that when 6 inches is forecast, we're paralyzed. This was a crazy storm. Stephen Heater says, I was living in Connecticut at the time, and we were hit hard, but we all made it through it. With no Home Depot, no social media, no weather apps. Most had rear-wheel drive cars with real snow tires. There was no American model. There was no European model, and it wasn't given a name. He said, I bet that if we had a storm like this today, it would be classified as the Doomsday Triple Bomb Cyclone Destroyer.
Yeah, you know what? He's probably right. I have to tell you, I just was thinking about this. If you want to make a comparison, and they were two different types of systems, and I'm not, at least from the meteorological standpoint, but for most folks, 2 feet of snow, 2 feet of snow, no matter how you slice it, you don't really care how the meteorology behind it. But I was just thinking back to the blizzard of '96, which we called the blizzard of '96. And aptly so. We didn't call it the big blizzard of '96, the oh so awesome, oh ye are so big, the blizzard. We just called it the blizzard of '96. And I don't remember even going just back then, which is not too many. How many years ago was it now? 20 something? 30 something, what's the math? 96, 26. So it's 26 years ago. I never heard the word hype used. No one ever said to me, "Oh, you're hyping this," in the days before. We were predicting it, but that's a different story. All the doubters were there because they're always there, but we didn't have it with that. And I think you're right. I think it's correct. If we ever get something like that now, it would be an absolute, not only would it be an absolute frenzy, but in the days leading up to it, which is really the worst part, the worst part of it are the 2 days before, because the weather people are sitting around with pits in their stomach, hoping that their predictions come through, whichever way they're predicting it, and also everybody else emptying already empty shelves in supermarkets for stuff. Yeah, yeah, you're right. It would be insane. It would be like something I've never seen with regards to how it would be played up.
Incidentally, did you ever bring this paper, the front page 1 of the paper up on the screen? Because on the screen right now I still see the 10 millibar map.
It's up there now. I'm sorry, I didn't switch. It should be there now.
So now everybody could see.
Well,
this is the New York.
Well,
New York Post.
Yeah, exactly. Now everybody could see it. I was watching. I had the big Zoom screen up so I could see it, which was great. It looked good to me, but I forgot to switch it. So, director error.
The most amazing thing about this, if you can see, Tuesday, February 7th, 1976, 25 cents. How much does the Post cost now to buy each day? Does anybody remember?
I don't know.
I pay I know the Daily News charges like $1.50 now for one day.
And you and I both remember when it was a nickel. I remember a nickel for the Daily News. A nickel.
News. Then it jumped up to 7 cents, and
right.
You could buy the Sunday Daily News for like 25 cents.
Oh yeah, no.
So anyway.
Joe, I don't think I've bought a newspaper. In, oh God, it's got to be almost over 25 years. I used to maybe buy, we worked at a newsroom, so you really didn't have to buy newspapers. You could just read the newspapers there. But as far as getting it at home, oh my God, it's been a long time. And now, not at all. Not doing it. I'm not doing it. I'm not spending,
Jimmy Snow says it's $2.50 for the Post today.
$2.50?
So it's going up. Are
you kidding me?
So it's going up 10 times. 10 times over the last 10 times more over the last 44 years.
That's half the price of a cup of coffee at $5.
Hey, what
Yeah,
do you want out of
that's
my life?
I know that's $2.50 for a newspaper. That's insane. I don't know how anybody pays $2.50 for a newspaper. Um, anyway, let's the chairman has been busy these last couple of weeks, and we've been busy with all these storms running around. So we haven't had Briller Jeopardy in a while. I hope Mother Briller is doing well, Mr. Scott, and we hope Mother Rayo is doing well. By the way, Joe and Mother
Well,
Choppy, they're all about the same
uh,
age.
yes, yes. Well, they're. I hope they're watching. I guess my sister and my mom are watching right now. Your mom doesn't watch. Why
No,
is that?
because she's at my sister's,
Oh,
and that
okay.
and that explains it.
Well, now with Driller Jeopardy, I hate this.
Why?
I hate when this
I have it.
happens.
I have it.
No, I had. He sent me questions.
Well, he sent me
In fact, I have
questions.
questions. Really?
Yeah.
Well, that's amazing.
Yeah, he said.
So
So who?
wait,
So who wants to go first?
actually, I have two sets of questions. There were a bunch that he sent to me. I think before the blizzard
Okay.
that we never got around
So
to,
well,
and
you
then
know what?
last week we never got around to.
You go first and ask me, and this way we'll go from there. Tomorrow I'll ask you.
All right. Well, wait a minute here. Hold on. Yeah, these were sent to me on January 31st. And what's today? Today's February the 8th
Today
or
is
7th? February
February the
7th.
7th, 2022. I'm Walter Cronkite. This just in.
All right. So here's here's a Briller Jeopardy for Mr. Chiaffi. Average February snowfall of the following 10 cities. What is their February average snowfall within 5 inches for credit? And this is from 1990 to 2020 for the average.
Okay.
So in the month of February, what is the average amount of snow that falls at Central Park?
In February, it's probably I'm gonna say around 10. I don't
10.1.
yeah, I haven't looked at the new averages yet, so I don't know when so that's gone up from 8 when back in the day. So yeah, the
Right.
averages continue to uptrend. So that's 10. Okay, so
Okay,
10
so that's
and New York City 10.1. Go ahead.
10.1. Number 2, Denver, Colorado.
Denver's such a funny place because it could be snow today and 60 the next day and 5 below. Where's Ruthless Goat? Because he could help me with this. And it's also January and February are not that snowy out there in general. Then it actually goes up in March into early April. So I'm going to say 15.
Oh, way off, Joe. 7.6.
See, it's low. I had said it's low. So Denver is 7.6. So New York City's snowfall in the month of February on average is more than Denver is.
That amazing?
Yeah.
That's interesting. How about Rochester, New York?
Rochester.
Rochester.
I'm going to say
What do
probably
you
on.
want, boss?
I'm going to say on the order of about because you have to, there's lake effect and all the rest of it. So I'm going to say 16.
How about 23.1?
Really, that much? Yeah, it's weird. It's weird. With lake effect, that's going to really throw some numbers off in both directions, depending on where they're measuring it. Because there's a big difference measuring something at the airport in Buffalo versus, say, if you're south and west of the lake, versus if you're north and east of the lake. So, or the lakes, quote unquote, because the two lakes are there. Anyway, go ahead.
How about the Washington, D.C.?
Washington's probably around 5.
And you got it, 5 inches.
Yeah.
How about Boston?
Boston, I'm going to say is probably around 13.
Well, close. 14.4.
Okay, that's good.
Now, with Chicago, I'm going to give you a hint. Chicago is exactly, precisely the same as one of the cities that we just mentioned.
Oh boy.
Is it exactly the same as Denver? Is it exactly the same as Washington?
I'll say the same
Is it
as
exactly the same as Boston?
I'll say Boston.
No, it's the same as Central Park, 10.1
Oh, it
inches.
is. Okay. I was a little
Yes,
surprised.
yes.
That's a little surprising. I thought it would have been a little higher. Because the average
Threw you a
snowfall for the
curveball.
season, the average snowfall for the season in Chicago is about 10 inches higher than it is than New York. It's not that much higher. It's maybe one or two extra storms, but that's it.
Right. How about Seattle?
Oh, I mean, Seattle's average snowfall, if it's at the airport, I mean, I think the seasonal snowfall is something like under 5. I'll say 2 inches.
2.2. 2.2. How about down in the land of the little old Opry, Nashville, Tennessee?
Yeah, Nashville snowfall, I actually looked it up back a couple of months back, and I was surprised at how low it was overall. So I'm going to say, because I think the seasonal average was something like 5, which I thought was a little low. Uh, I- will say I'll say 2.
How about 1.5? Half an
Yeah,
inch off
I
there.
was gonna go in the ones. I was gonna use a one handle, and then I said let me push it up to 2.
How about Louisville, Kentucky?
I'm gonna say for Louisville 6.
How about Louisville, 4.1? By the way, how do you correctly? What is the correct pronunciation of the capital of Kentucky?
Um, I'm sorry. The capital is what?
Is it
Louisville.
well? A lot of if I were to say, is it
Oh, it's no,
Louisville or Louisville?
it
It
is, but it is Louisville, right? I mean, the capital is Louis.
no,
Or is it
no.
Frankfurt?
Yeah, the joke is I ask an average person who doesn't know much about geography,
Right.
what is it, Louisville or Louisville? And they'll say Louisville. I said wrong. It's Frankfurt.
It's
All right,
Frankfurt. Yeah,
so
It is Frankfurt. I thought
Frankfurt.
so.
Right. Last one, Minneapolis, home of Mary Tyler Moore
Mini no
or Mary
place.
Richards.
I shouldn't say that.
Yeah.
That's not true. I'm sorry. I apologize for that. That was not a kind thing for me to say. Okay.
No.
Mea culpa.
Yeah,
Okay.
right down in the town square of Minneapolis, they actually have a statue of Mary Tyler Moore throwing her hat up in the air.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And I'm a big fan of the Mary Tyler Moore show. Uh, so Minneapolis, I'm going to say, see, this time of year they can be so deep into the cold air sometimes, but they also occasionally get hammered. So I'm going to say, I'll say 14.
9.5. Would you believe
That
in the month of
it's less.
February
It's less than New York. Well,
they get less than New York?
climatologically for New York, it's basically mid-January. The best time for snow is the let's call it a 6 to 8 week period from mid-January to maybe the first week of March. Right in there is your window because your water temperatures are at their lowest and usually you're talking about the bottoming of the cold air right now. In fact, I think starting tomorrow, the average high temperatures start to go up. So we've hit the bottom. I know my friend Phil. I don't know if he's watching, but this is like tomorrow is his favorite day of the year. He's always telling me because he can't stand the winter. So he asked me once. He said, "When did winter temperatures start going up?" I said, "Well, normally they usually start. They hit bottom last week of January, first week of February is the absolute low, and then they start to rise after about February 8th. So, Phil, if you're watching, tomorrow's February 8th. You can start to celebrate. You're past the halfway
Yeah.
point. So there.
And now we have not one but two bonus questions for you.
Oh,
Bonus question number one is, of the following 5 cities, only one, just one, not 2 or 3, but just one, averages more than 0 inches of snow in February? Which of the following 5 averages more than 0 inches? Is it Houston, Las Vegas, San Antonio, Phoenix, or New Orleans?
Only one of
Again,
those
one of the
has
5
only one of those
has,
has a measurable snowfall for the month of February. And my choices again
right,
are, give me your choices again.
Houston,
Houston,
Las Vegas,
Las Vegas,
Phoenix, New Orleans,
Phoenix,
and San Antonio.
San Antonio. Well, I'm going to say now, you know what? San Antonio's had like a couple of big snows in the last, and it works out the average that they're at .1 because of the snow that they had. Because I think they had one year back, I forgot when, where they had, I don't know, 15, 16 inches, and then it hardly ever snows there at all. I'll say Vegas.
You had it, Joe.
It was San
You had it,
Antonio.
and then you
I
dropped
knew
it.
it. I
It
knew
was
it.
San Antonio,
San Antonio. If you
and they,
look, if you
and
look
they,
at it never snows there. Never. Okay. It's not like they get coatings to an inch every once in a while. Never snows there. And then I forgot what year it was, but it was sometime I think in the last 20 or so years. They got, I remember they got this. It was an upper low that just sat there, and I think they got like 15 or 16 inches. So when you do the math, it probably works like out to like .1 or .2 or something as far as snowfall is concerned. But yeah, I was I was thinking San Antonio, and then I kind of backed away. Usually your first instinct, the first thing that comes to into your head and your first instinct is the way to go. And by the way, we should mention, and Scott Briller is just an absolute cornucopia of information, but that he pointed out, I think on the chat board, that in the race between Atlantic City with their seasonal snowfall and Portland, Maine, Atlantic City still leads by fractions of an inch. So it's been an
are
upside
you
down
sure? Because I
winter.
saw that. Are you sure? Because I think I scribbled that Portland, Maine has now taken the lead from Atlantic City,
Oh, I mean,
34.7 to
okay,
33.2.
it may be today. Maybe I misread it. I saw it really quick, and I saw Atlantic City, and then I saw Portland, and then I had to go do something else. But all right, so it may have just taken the lead. So, but relative to normal, if you compare the snowfall to normal, Atlantic City's way ahead. So in other words, if
Yeah.
Atlantic City's double the normal, then you'd have to take Portland's normal and double it to kind of make a apples to apples comparison, and it's nowhere close. Atlantic City is, from that standpoint, is way ahead of the game.
San Antonio, by the way, you were absolutely right. According to what Mr. Briller wrote, they now average in February 0.1 inch of snow. So you were right about the averaging out with those big snowfalls of the
Yep.
past. 0.1. That's it for San Antonio. Now the other bonus question number 2, what were the only 2 consecutive days that New York City public schools were closed due to snow? And this is between 1980 and 2020. What were the only 2 consecutive days that they closed New York City public schools?
Between 1980 and 2020?
And 2020, right.
I mean, I guess the blizzard of I'm trying to remember. No, the blizzard of '96 was a Sunday, Monday, so it couldn't have been that one. Boxing Day storm was over Christmas. The other December storm that we had in the year before it was also on a Friday night because I threw a smart dinner party that night and forced all my guests to be there. And then while we were, the time that we ate and had after dinner mince, a foot of snow fell between say 6 o'clock and 11 o'clock. So, oh God, I don't know. I don't know. I have no clue,
Actually,
Joe.
is January 8th and 9th, 1996. Now you
Oh,
were right.
really?
That was a Sunday.
So they
That
closed
was a
that
Sunday
month.
storm. So they closed Monday,
and then they
the
closed the
8th.
Tuesday. Okay.
Right. Right.
See, I'm thinking from I when it comes to that sort of stuff, I kind of think back to when we went to school, where I mean, not it snowed far. Let's be honest here, because it's true. People think it's the opposite. Oh, it was always used to snow when I was a little kid. No, it did not always used to snow when you were a little kid. In fact, it snowed far less when we were little kids than than it was when my kids were growing up in the 2000s. So well, they were, oh, they weren't infants in the 2000s, but they were in their teens and it's getting ready to go into their 20s. But yeah, when it did snow, I could think of a couple of times, Joe, where they let us out an hour early after there was about 3 inches on the ground. There had to be they had to be 3 inches on the ground. That was sort of a magic number for them when they would let you go home early. And one of the reasons why I'm thinking part of the reason why is uh, because this was in high school, that you needed to get the buses there to take the people home, and they didn't have school buses in the Bronx. They didn't use school buses at the high school. They actually used city buses for the Catholic schools. So uh, that was probably one of the reasons why you had to wait for the buses to get there. But yeah, it was like 3 inches was the magic number. And I have to tell you, I don't even remember in high school if we had a single snow day in that 73 through 77. I don't think we had a single snow day in high school, like a full closure.
I I lived right across the street from my junior high school, and in the '69 Lindsay storm, they were closed Monday, Tuesday, and I believe Wednesday. They reopened Thursday and Friday, but I just looked out the window. I saw, here's that word again, a paucity of kids going to school on both of those days. Most of them just stay home. Now, I could have walked across the street the day after the snowstorm and gotten to the school. Of course, it wasn't open. But I said, if there's so few people going to school on Thursday and again on Friday, the heck with it. So I took the whole week off. I remember after the Lindsay storm in '69. That was quite an interesting storm. But anyway, there you go. So we got Briller Jeopardy in. We've got all of the super chat names in, and I think we're done. And
We
how many
are.
likes do we have here?
We have
How many
one.
likes? We have 116 likes.
Very nice, very nice. So, I guess it's time to say goodnight. So
Yes, it is. And
why don't you tell everybody
one,
thanks for being here tonight. We hope to see you next time. We'll be back tomorrow night at 7:30 on the Joe and Joe Weather Show.
you just done that.
Yeah, I
I'll
know.
add to that on Wednesday night, with your approval, 8:30, because I have a library talk at 7 that night.
Yeah, that's fine. 8:30 is good for Wednesday night. So
Yes.
mark that down on your calendars. Make sure you enter that into your telephone. Set it with a 15-minute warning to remember to be here at 8:30 on Wednesday. Not on Tuesday, not on Thursday, but Wednesday at 8:30
Yes.
p.m. Eastern Time. So thank you all for being here on this Monday night, and thank you for the super chat hits, and we will see you tomorrow. Good night, everybody.
Night-o.